Have you ever felt like you're not enough? Like no matter how hard you try, something inside whispers that you don't measure up, that you don't fit, that something's always missing? You're not alone. That feeling follows you like a shadow, showing up in your relationships, in the mirror when you look at yourself, or in those moments when you compare yourself to others. But here's a truth that can change everything. That emptiness isn't a flaw in you, it's a signal. Carl Jung, one of the most brilliant psychologists in history, figured out how to decode it. Today, we're going to explore his most powerful secret together, one that won't just help you stop feeling inadequate, but will transform how you live, love, and connect with yourself. So stick with me, because this isn't just another video. It's a journey into the deepest parts of you. Jung said that inside each of us is an entire universe, a hidden world he called the unconscious. It's not just a place where forgotten memories sit. It's a living force that speaks to you all the time. How? Through your emotions, your gut feelings, those hunches you can't explain. Imagine you're in a relationship. Everything seems perfect on the surface, but something feels off. Maybe it's that unease when your partner says something nice, but it doesn't feel right. Or maybe you're in a job you should love. It pays the bills, everyone calls it a success. But at the end of the day, you feel empty. That feeling isn't random. It's your unconscious screaming that you're disconnected from your true self. But hold on. Let's pause for a second. Think of a time in your life when you felt trapped in something that didn't fill you up. Maybe it was a friend who always asked for more than you could give, or a goal you chased because it was right but never made you happy. Got it in mind? Good, because what we're uncovering today with Jung will give you the tools to understand why it happened and how to break free. Jung taught that the unconscious doesn't use words like this script. It speaks in symbols, in images, from dreams, or in those emotions that hit you out of nowhere. For example, picture Maria, a 32-year-old woman in Mexico City. She has a charming boyfriend. He brings her flowers, sends sweet messages, but every time they're together, she feels a knot in her stomach. She doesn't know why. It's just my imagination, she tells herself, but the knot won't go away. Or think of Daniel, a 40-year-old man in Los Angeles. He has a steady office job, but every morning he wakes up with anxiety he can't explain. He pushes through because that's adult life, but something inside him is shouting. That knot, that anxiety, they're messages. Jung saw them as signs you're living out of sync with your authenticity, that version of you that doesn't need masks or pretending. Now, don't worry if this feels abstract. We're going to make it practical. Here's Jung's first key concept you need to grasp: the shadow. The shadow is everything you hide from yourself because you don't like seeing it. Your insecurities, your fears, the parts you reject because they don't fit who you think you should be. For Maria, her shadow might be a fear of being alone that keeps her in a relationship that doesn't fulfill her. For Daniel, it could be guilt over not chasing his dream of being a musician, something he buried because it wasn't practical. The shadow isn't your enemy, it's a teacher. When you ignore it, it grows stronger. Ever notice how you snap at someone over something small, like when your coworker in Bogota asks for one more favor, and suddenly you're furious? That's not just about the favor. It's your shadow breaking through, begging you to look at it. Jung said integrating it, accepting and understanding it, is the first step to stop feeling inadequate. As long as you push it away, it'll keep controlling you from the dark. Let's try another example. Imagine Sophia, a 28-year-old mom in Medellin. She loves her kids, but she feels she's lost part of herself since she gave up painting to focus on her family. Every time she sees a friend posting achievements online, she feels envy. She doesn't admit it. Good moms shouldn't feel that. But that envy is her shadow talking. Or think of Juan, a 35-year-old man in Houston, always helping everyone: his boss, his friends, his partner. But when someone asks for something and he says no, he feels guilty. That guilt is his shadow reminding him he never learned to set boundaries. So what do we do with this? Jung gives us a starting point. Listen. Next time you feel that discomfort, that something's not right, don't brush it off. Ask yourself, what am I avoiding seeing? If you're like Maria, you might realize you're staying in a relationship out of fear of loneliness. If you're like Daniel, you might see that your job doesn't define you. but your dream does. Here's a call to action. In the comments, tell me about a time you felt that knot. You don't need to share personal details. Just say how it made you feel and if you figured it out. Your words might inspire someone else going through the same thing. But it's not all shadows and knots. Jung also talked about something beautiful. Individuation. This is when you start piecing together all parts of yourself, light and shadow, to become who you really are. It's not about being perfect, it's about being authentic. Imagine you're a puzzle, and every piece you find makes you feel more whole. For Sophia, individuation might mean painting again, even just an hour a week. For Juan, it could be learning to say no without guilt. Let's pause here for a moment. Take a deep breath. What piece of your puzzle feels missing? Maybe it's a dream you left behind, like wanting to learn salsa but putting it off for lack of time, or a boundary you're scared to set, like telling your friend in Guadalajara you can't always be available. Reflect on that before we move on. By the way, my book is out now. It's packed with tips and techniques to overcome emotional blocks and love yourself more. Find the link in the description and pinned comment. Let's keep going. This isn't just theory, it's something you can use today. Jung believed modern life disconnects us from this process. We're stuck running around, trapped in social media, exhausting jobs and others' expectations. But that disconnection has a cost, that I'm not enough feeling. Here's the hook. It's not you failing, it's the world pulling you away from your essence. Jung invites us to come back to it, to listen to what's inside. When you do, you don't just stop feeling inadequate, you start truly living. Before we move to the next part, do this. If this message is hitting home, like the video and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Maybe a friend in Cali who always puts herself second, or a cousin in Miami lost in his routine. Every time you share, you help more people find this path. Stick with me, because what's coming next is even more powerful. How to use this in your relationships and self-love. We just saw how Jung helps us understand that not enough feeling as a signal from our unconscious, an invitation to reconnect with our authenticity. But this doesn't stay in theory or solo reflections. It lives in the real world, especially in our relationships and how we treat ourselves. So get ready, because now we're taking Jung's ideas to the heart of your daily life. How to stop feeling inadequate in love, with others, and most importantly, with yourself. Let's start with relationships, because that's where we often feel that emptiness the most. Jung said the people we choose to keep close aren't random. They're mirrors of our inner world. What you love or hate in someone is usually a reflection of something inside you, sometimes in your shadow. Think of Anna, a 34-year-old woman in Bogota. She always ends up with partners who criticize her. At first, it's all laughter and promises, but over time they point out her flaws. She talks too much. She's not organized enough. Anna tries to change, but it's never enough. Sound familiar? Or picture Luis, a 29-year-old man in Monterrey. He has a friend who always makes him feel small. Every time Luis shares an idea, like starting a homemade food business, his friend shoots it down. That won't work. Better stay where you are. Luis stays quiet, but inside he feels worthless. Jung would say these relationships aren't bad luck. They're projections, a term he used to explain how we see in others what we don't accept in ourselves. For Anna, those criticisms might reflect her own insecurity about not being perfect. For Luis, his friend's discouragement could echo his fear of failure. Let's pause quick. Do you have someone in your life who makes you feel this way? Maybe a boss in Los Angeles who never values your effort, or a family member in Barranquilla who always compares you to others? Reflect for a second. What about them bothers you so much? Jung would say there's a clue to your shadow there. Don't worry, I'll give you a practical way to work with this later. But relationships don't just reflect our shadows. They also show when we're disconnected from our authenticity. Ever felt like you changed for someone, molding yourself to fit, to be loved, to not look bad? Think of Carla, a 42-year-old woman in Miami. She's been in a relationship for years where she feels she has to be the strong one. Her partner relies on her for everything: decisions, emotional support, even money. Carla swallows her exhaustion because love is sacrifice, but deep down she's drained. Or recall Miguel, a 30-year-old man in Cali, always saying yes to his friends, even if it means canceling his own plans. It feels good being the reliable one, but sometimes he wonders, what about me? Jung invites us to see these patterns as signals. If you feel you're losing yourself in a relationship, sacrificing your essence to keep it, you're betraying your individuation, that process of being who you truly are. Here's a tough but freeing truth. You're not here to be what others want you to be. Your energy, your time, your love, they're sacred. Protecting them isn't selfish. It's self-respect. So how do we apply this? Jung gives us a tool, boundaries, not as punishment, but as self-love. Imagine Carla telling her partner, I need space to rest, I can't carry it all. Or Miguel saying to his friends, this time I can't, I've got something I want to do for me. At first, there might be pushback. Others aren't always ready to see you shine in your truth. But when you set boundaries, you tell your unconscious, I matter. And something else happens. Your energy shifts, and the right people start respecting you more. Or imagine Pedro, a 45-year-old man in Chicago, who left a corporate job to open a carpentry shop. His hands crafting furniture brought back something he'd lost, the feeling of being enough. Jung called this following the unconscious's signals. They're not always dramatic. Sometimes they're subtle, like that curiosity to learn guitar every time you pass a music store in Querétaro, or that urge to start a blog that's been nagging you for years. But those signals take courage, because the world pushes you to stay safe, to stick with what's known. Jung would say real growth is in the unknown. Let's do an exercise together. Think of a relationship where you feel you give too much. Maybe it's your sister in Guadalajara who always calls with drama, or your partner in Houston who expects you to fix everything. Now imagine setting a small boundary, something simple like, I can't talk today, I need a moment for me. How would that feel? Lighter, right? That's your authenticity claiming its place. Here's another call to action. In the comments, share a relationship where you felt lost in yourself a bit. No need for names. Just tell me how it makes you feel, and if you've tried setting a boundary. Your experiences might help someone listening right now who doesn't know where to start. But it's not all struggle in relationships. Jung also believed in synchronicity, those moments when life seems to line up like magic. When you start living your truth, you attract people who lift you up. Imagine Laura, a 27-year-old woman in Cartagena. After years feeling less in toxic friendships, she let them go. At first, she feared being alone, but one day at a writing workshop, she met a group who inspired her to be herself. Or think of Jorge, a 38-year-old man in San Diego, who left a draining job and weeks later found a mentor who helped him launch his own project. Synchronicity isn't chance. It's the universe responding to your courage. But for it to happen, you have to let go of what doesn't belong to you. If you cling to relationships that drain you, there's no room for the new. So here's a practical action. Make a mental list of people who exhaust you and those who fill you up. You don't have to cut ties overnight, but start giving more time to those who make you feel enough as you are. Let's pause a moment. Take a deep breath again. Who in your life makes you feel you don't need to change to be loved? Maybe your best friend in Ciudad Juarez or your brother in Pereira. That's the energy Jung wanted you to seek. And if you don't have it yet, don't worry, it's coming. But first, you need to make space. Now let's talk self-love, because that's where it all begins. Jung said you can't love others if you don't love yourself. But this love isn't the pretty Instagram quotes. It's a deep act of acceptance. Look at Elena, a 50-year-old woman in Tijuana. She spent years feeling inadequate for not having the perfect body she saw online. Every diet, every mirror reminded her she wasn't enough. Then one day, inspired by Jung, she decided to really see herself. Not just her body, but her laughter, her strength, the times she helped her kids move forward. She started integrating her shadow, that part she hated, and realized she was enough, flaws and all. Or think of Roberto, a 33-year-old man in New York. He always felt less for not finishing college like his siblings, but exploring his unconscious, he found his talent for fixing things and helping others was his own way to shine. Jung would call this individuation, accepting all your parts, not just the ones the world claps for. Here's a practical tool for you. Do a small self-love ritual. Every morning, Look in the mirror and say something you like about yourself. It doesn't have to be physical. It could be, I like how I always try to understand others, or I love my curiosity to learn. Sounds simple, but it tells your unconscious, I'm here for me. Try it for a week and see how your energy shifts. Before we go on, another call to action. Like this if it's stirring something in you, and share it with someone who needs a self-love boost. Stick with me, because in the next part, we'll wrap this journey with Jung's transformative power and how to apply it every day. We're reaching the heart of this journey. If you've stayed with me this far, you know Jung doesn't just help us understand why we feel inadequate. He gives us the keys to transform our relationships and self-love. Now let's tie it all together and take it deeper. How to live these ideas daily, how to stop feeling not enough, and how to build a life that truly inspires you. Get ready because this is where it all comes alive. Let's talk purpose, because Jung believed feeling full isn't about shallow happiness. It's about finding meaning. And that meaning isn't outside you. It's in your unconscious, waiting for you to hear it. Think of Valeria, a 31-year-old woman in Lima. She had a stable job as an accountant, but always dreamed of teaching yoga. Every time she saw someone practicing, she felt a spark, but she'd snuff it out with excuses. It's not the right time. What will people think? Until one day, tired of feeling empty, she followed that gut feeling. She started with small classes, and bit by bit, her life filled with purpose. And to wrap up, let me say this. You are enough, not because I say so, but because Jung showed us there's a whole universe inside you waiting to be discovered. So today, take a step. Listen to that voice. Drop what doesn't serve you. Embrace who you are. Because when you do, you don't just change your life. You change the world around you. Thanks for being here, for being part of this. See you in the next video. Remember, it all starts with you. I'll be waiting. So ask yourself, what dream have you been ignoring? What calls to you, even if it scares you? Let's pause here. Take a deep breath and think of something you've always wanted to do, but pushed aside. Maybe it's traveling solo to Playa del Carmen, or starting that bakery business your friends in Cali always rave about. You don't need to act today, just hear that voice. That's your unconscious guiding you to your purpose. And here's another powerful Jung concept, synchronicity. We mentioned it in relationships, but it applies to your whole life. When you follow your authenticity, things start lining up. For Valeria, it was finding the perfect space for her classes right when she needed it. For Pedro, it was a random client who spread the word about his work. Synchronicity is like a wink from the universe. You're on the right track, but it won't come if you're still clinging to what doesn't belong to you. Letting go is the entry fee. Letting go isn't easy. Think of Mariana, a 36-year-old woman in Guadalajara. She spent years in a friendship that drained her. Her friend always showed up with complaints but never listened to Mariana. One day, inspired by Jung, she stepped back. It wasn't a dramatic cut, just less energy there. Weeks later, she met someone at a cafe who encouraged her to pick up photography again, or recall Andres, a 27-year-old man in Barranquilla, who left a toxic relationship where he always felt less. Letting go brought peace, and in time, a partner who values him as he is. So what are you holding that no longer fits? Maybe a job in Houston that drains you, or a belief like, I can't shine because I'm too old. Jung would say letting go isn't losing, it's making room for the new. Here's a practical action. Write on a paper something you want to release. A relationship, a fear, a habit. Then stash it away or burn it if you're feeling bold. It's a message to your unconscious. I'm ready for something better. Let's pause a second. Imagine your life without that weight. Lighter, more yours. That's what Jung wanted you to feel. A life aligned with your essence. Here's a call to action. In the comments, share what you'd like to let go of. No need to explain it all, just a word or phrase. Toxic, fear, perfectionism. Your words might give someone else the courage to release theirs. But it's not all about letting go. You also have to build. Jung teaches that integrating your shadow and authenticity isn't a one-time thing. It's a daily practice. Think of it like tending a plant. One watering isn't enough. You need light, care, time. Same with your life. If you've realized your shadow includes fear of rejection, like Sophia in Medellin with her painting, practice showing yourself bit by bit. Post a drawing online, even if it's not perfect. Or if, like Juan in Houston, you found your shadow is guilt for saying no, practice small boundaries. I can't help today, but maybe tomorrow. Here's another tool. Start an intuition journal. Each night, write one thing you felt that day, a hunch, a strong emotion, and what you think it was telling you. Like, I felt envy seeing my neighbor in Tijuana run her business. Maybe I want to start something too. Over time, you'll spot patterns guiding you to your truth. And don't forget chaos, because Jung said that's where we grow. Think of those dark moments, a breakup, a layoff, a fight. For Elena in Tijuana, it was her marriage ending. At first, it was a storm of guilt and pain, but facing it, she found she could stand on her own. Or for Roberto in New York, losing a job led him to explore his knack for fixing things. Jung would say there's no awakening without pain. Chaos isn't your enemy, it's your teacher. One last exercise. Recall a tough moment you overcame. Maybe moving alone to Los Angeles and feeling scared but making it, or standing up to your family in Bogota over a choice. What did you learn about yourself? That's your unconscious turning chaos into growth. Here's a quick recap before we close. Jung teaches that feeling inadequate isn't your fate. It's a sign you're disconnected from your authenticity. By listening to your unconscious, integrating your shadow, and chasing your purpose, you stop seeking outside what's already in you. It's a journey of self-love, real relationships, and synchronicities showing you're on track. But this journey is yours. You choose how to walk it. My final call to action, if this video touched you, like it, share it with someone who needs this message, and subscribe with the bell on so you don't miss what's next. In the comments, tell me what you're taking from this. An idea, an action, a dream you'll chase. Your words inspire me and this growing community.